Hi, Sharks. I'm Shira. I was 17 going on Shark Tank. I was like, this is sick.
You know I'm a numbers guy. Why don't you tell me the numbers?
So we've been in business for 11 months. They can be negotiating in there for like 2 hours.
Now, yours seemed really quick. Was it actually that quick, or were you there for hours?
You can call them that if they have to pay me a royalty.
You know, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
And you also go in there and you black out, so you're like, I don't know what just happened. And pull out the cover, place it over the top. So Sharks, who's ready to take action? 5 years later, we've sold 1 million units and...
Wow.
Came to you in a dream and now you have $60,000.
Shirah Benarde is the founder and inventor of Nightcap, an innovative and easy-to-use product that protects the user from drink spiking. In 2021, at just 17 years old, Shira and her brother appeared on ABC's hit show, Shark Tank.
I love this.
And quickly earned a deal with Shark Lori Greiner.
Fantastic, so smart.
Shira has since grown their product line, advocated for legislation that supports drink safety, and was selected as one of Inc. magazine's 2025 female founders. Very excited to have you talk about your product, talk about your kind of adventure thus far. But please do tell us about Nightcap.
Yeah, so Nightcap is the drink spiking prevention company. We started 5 years ago. I had a friend that was roofied at the bar. You mentioned I was 16. She was a college friend, but yes, I was 16. I was doing high school, taking an entrepreneurship class, but I knew from a very young age of like probably 8 years old that I wanted to have my own business. And, you know, she was roofied at the bar. I went to bed maybe a week later, and this idea of a scrunchie that also doubles as a drink cover to go over your glass so nothing goes inside came to me in a dream. And I woke up the next morning and thought, this is like the best, you know, this could save a lot of lives. And I went downstairs and sat down with my dad, and I was like, this idea, like, what do I do with it? He's like, this is actually a really good idea you have. And actually before he said that, I was trying to figure out how to visually show him what I was talking about, because I was trying to explain it. And then I was like, just hold on. And I ran upstairs and I went into my mom's closet and I grabbed like socks and pantyhose and all these different things. And I ended up creating the first prototype out of her stockings and an old scrunchie from my room, put it over a glass. And my dad was like, nightcap or top hat? And obviously went with nightcap. So my dad was very helpful. I mean, like he wasn't an entrepreneur, still isn't. He works a 9-to-5 job, and like he just, you know, throughout his career was a very friendly guy, knew a lot of people, and was just like calling different people, like about a seamstress and a graphic designer. So the graphic designer started making some logos for us, and like it was fun. It was like a little passion project in high school, like picking a logo after school and like sitting down with the seamstress when she'd come over, you know, every few weeks with a new prototype. And that was, you know, a really crazy journey as a 16-year-old, being like, you know, I can't even go test my product because I have 5 years till I can drink. So my dad would have to like go into bars and ask people like, is this something you would even use? And my brother ended up coming home from Florida State, and he's like saw my prototype on the table, and he's like, you know, this happens so often at my school, and I know people who've been affected by this. Like he just started helping me with, you know, getting things off the ground. And we started an Indiegogo. We raised like $12,000.
Wow.
And my brother took the product back to school with him, and he competed in like 4 different pitch competitions, and he won all of them, which was awesome. And then our parents gave us some money, and from there we were able to get the first batch of inventory going for Nightcap. And I guess 5 years later we've sold 1 million units. And
Wow.
Yeah, it's still just the two of us running the business, which has been a lot of fun.
A lot. So this podcast right now is taking away from production, probably.
Or is this a good break? Yeah.
Oh, you mean working,
Yes.
work-wise? No. I mean, no. Thank you guys for taking me away.
So can we go back actually to the dream real quick? I'm actually pretty curious about that, because you said you felt like God gave it to you and it came to you in a dream. Was it just like in the dream, it was something happening and you just put it on top? Was it just like, hey, here's a design, go make this? Like, I'm curious
Did it
about that at all.
descend from the heavens
Yes,
above?
what
How does
happened?
that?
It wasn't even, there was literally no context. That's the crazy part. It just like, it was just an image in my head that I like, and I never remember my dreams. I still really don't. And it was just a photo, like not where the product is today, like not like well designed or anything. Like it looked like a sock over a drink, and it was just very scrappy looking. And then I thought about it a little more and I was like, well, what is that? I was like, I've never seen that. But I made a note to like, when I wake up in the morning, I better remember this, because this is something. I don't know what, but it's something. And usually, I mean, that doesn't happen. And I've talked to a dream expert before, and she went pretty deep about, how like the crazy part is the idea, and then the crazier part is remembering the idea.
Well, also that you went forward with it. You didn't say, hey, that's a good idea. You saw the opportunity to actually be like, no, we need to make this happen. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it sounds like, so we work with a lot of musicians. In our past, we had a music career. And it's the same thing with musicians. A lot of times they're like, no, the song just came to me and I just wrote it down. And I think it sounds similar to that. And it's very cool.
Yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but like Google was invented in a dream, the sewing machine, the periodic table. There are large amounts of just like things that we use every day that were invented in dreams. But I also feel like we know where we think of our ideas, and it's important to go back to those spaces. Like if I have something that if I need to be creative about, or, just like think more about, I will tell myself what it is before I go to bed.
Oh, interesting. So you're like
because
setting it up. Okay.
Well, there's
like, I don't know. There's something in my subconscious that, I can kind of tell it, like, this is what I need. And I will wake up, or right as I'm going to bed, like it will come to me. And like, that is my first, like at least a draft of some concept. So, I think it's really important to know, like, where do you get your best ideas from? And I think too, like as an entrepreneur, when you are someone that's creative, or just like a visionary in general, we end up getting caught up in the workload of things, and we kind of lose that. So sometimes it's important to like time block just to like think and dream about certain things, because, working and doing a lot and switching between tasks, your mind doesn't get to just like flow.
Yeah. There's something about that space in between, like being awake and conscious and falling asleep, where that like your mind is more malleable, and I think it's more open. It's less rigid to kind of the structure of the day and the schedule and the work to be done, and it's not burdened by that stress necessarily. And you can kind of just leave space for something new and innovative. So I know that like this guy's has always been really good at writing songs after like everyone else should be asleep. He's like up late at night writing
It's the
music.
only time my brain calms down enough.
Yeah.
But
but you know that about yourself, and you kind of like repeat those patterns because that's what it comes to you. I think it's important for us to do that and like go back to where these ideas come and just the inception of things.
Where did you learn all this? I mean, you are so young, and you were 16 when you started this. Yes, you wanted to be an entrepreneur, but like where did you learn all this stuff? I'm curious.
I have a lot of conversations with people,
Okay.
and I also have questioned like why this has been my life a lot. Like, not that I'm upset about it. I love it, and I like couldn't be happier about like what I do, but I definitely have like dug deeper in conversations with people, because I'm like, well, why did this come to me? Like, why was this, this is like essentially my purpose, but like, why? And so I've just had a lot of conversations with people that like end up going deeper. And then a lot of people feel like they can confide in me and like talk to me about, spiritual things because I came up with it in a dream. And so, I mean, just last week I had somebody talking to me about like what we're talking about right now. And she's, you know, a stranger, but she's telling me that, you know, whenever you're feeling you know, she's basically telling me, go back to the way that you felt when you came up with Nightcap and like feel those feelings more and like what brings you into the state of flow, like what, and like she was having me answer all these questions, but I don't know. I just kind of learned through conversation with people. I like talking to other people about like their experience and like just learning.
How did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? You said early on that you wanted to be.
I watched my parents work 9 to 5s, and I was like the kid that was literally sitting on my mom's foot, like not letting her go to work. I would just like hold her down until she had to walk out the door because I don't know. I just saw them working for other people and pursuing other people's dreams. And like, not that it's a big deal, but like my brother and I were always like the last ones to get picked up and like stay after school for an extra 5 hours, like just as they were at work. So I was like, I never want this. Like, I don't want that. I want to have my own schedule. I knew that from like probably 8 years old.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
so I want to back up a little bit and talk about the scope of the problem for drink spiking, roofies. You know, like, so I first became aware of you and your product because I saw something on Instagram. I saw, you know, someone had like shared a post, and I saw the product. And by the way, I know that you can talk. I want you to talk about like the different varieties of product. We keep saying the product, but you have many different versions of this this solution.
Yeah.
But I saw one of them, and I was like, kind of like Jacob was saying earlier, you know, I had this moment of like, of course, yes, of course. That's brilliant. Why hasn't this exist a long time ago? And, you know, we're both dads. We have, thankfully, still very young daughters. But one day they won't be so young. We've got wives, and even, you know, for ourselves, like there's a very real threat, or has been, you know, at least in the past. We're about to release a documentary on the southern border, which has been really enlightening for us. And we've learned a lot about human trafficking and you know, kidnapping and some things that go on there. And so I'm just really curious. I mean, like, this is your space. This is your industry, so to speak, or at least preventing, you know, some of these things. So can you just talk a little bit about like, you know, that as a motivator and kind of what you're preventing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing that you guys are doing all that. That's super important. And pretty linked, to be honest. Like, drink spiking leads to things like human trafficking. But yeah, I mean, the problem is just way bigger than we know. And reported 1 in 2 women have had their drink spiked.
Whoa.
Reported 1 in 3 men have had their drink spiked.
Really?
Men can be targeted for robbery for the purpose of theft. It's very common nowadays. If you're wearing something nice, it can be a variety of things. Like, they just know that, you know, you have wealth of some sort. And, you know, there's this case in Atlanta where these women drugged men, and like they used their Face ID to get into their bank accounts, and were left with nothing. And it's happened too, like when you go traveling abroad, it's like pretty common. It's just not very talked about. Yeah, it can happen to men, women, old, young. Like, doesn't matter. I've been in conversations with people who are like, you know, I'm not a young female, so it's not going to happen to me. I'm not like you. But that's where we mess up, because we let our guard down, like, because, you know, you're not young and you're not a woman. And then, you know, you're like leaving your drinks unattended and like just kind of, you know, doing your thing. And that's when it goes down, when you're really like when we all need to be aware of the situation and what really happens. But yeah, I mean, the issue is that there are many issues, but a lot of the times it doesn't go, everyone is accused of being drunk. So like that will lead to people feeling shameful, not reporting it, not getting the tests that they need. If you go get a test at the hospital, you're not even allowed to get one unless you've been assaulted. So like the hospitals don't even have the resources most of the time. And like the doctors are accusing people of drinking too much, and they're giving people, you know, medication that's mixing horribly with the drugs that they're on. And it's just a cycle, and it's not in our favor, in a victim's favor. Like it's very flawed. And these videos that I've been making, I've been going around putting candy in my friends' drinks to show people how easy it is, of probably how you found us. But yeah, I mean, those videos have been going viral. Like every time I mention Nightcap, people are like, have you seen those videos? I'm like, yeah, those are mine. Like,
so I actually had seen your product before. He had actually brought this podcast up, and I was like, dude, we totally got to do this. This is, because it's a great product. And I had no clue that yeah, men could get robbed. Men could get taken advantage of too.
Yeah.
Because I've never been afraid personally. I'm a big, tall guy, but I never thought about that.
Yeah. And I mean, like I have had people come to me being like, I was with my fiance, like, you know, people being with someone else, but then also through these videos is where I was going, was like, the videos have actually taught us that the most common person to spike your drink is somebody that you know.
Someone close to you. They have to be close to you in a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So when I'm going through these comment sections of like thousands of people that are sharing their stories, it's like, my cousin did this to me. My ex-husband did this to me. My uncle. It's like things that you would never expect, but like there are so many stories that it's hard to not believe them. Like it's just very common. Like why I mean, none of us could wrap our head around it, but I guess, you know, this is a theme. Like, and so now like I've shifted gears where I'm like, it's not just at the bars and the clubs that this could happen. It's at the pre-games. It's at the intimate event. Like, cause we go into the house party and we're like, oh, we know everyone. Actually, that's probably the place that you should really be careful at, because you think you know everyone and you don't. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times bartenders are in on it. Like, I know in Boston, it's a huge problem right now. People are being spiked having water. It's ridiculous. And I think that's also, I mean, you guys might know more than me, but in the human trafficking worlds, like that, those bartenders can be paid off by someone else. So they're making money from doing these things, and it's really scary. But, you know, we're trying to tackle these issues, not just, you know, coming out with new products, even though I will go over that in a second on like all the different products that we have. But we just helped pass a law in California. In July 1st, every bar in the state is going to require having drink covers.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow, good job.
Thanks. And I think we have another state that's going to be next. I have a meeting next week.
That's so cool. By the way, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's like where my head went though. When I saw your product, I was like, why isn't everyone doing this? Because I mean, like you said, it's very difficult to predict, to know, like it's typically somebody close to you. So it's very difficult to pinpoint a threat. It's difficult to identify, has it actually even happened at all? Or is this person just really intoxicated? And then like to test it later on, if they do receive medical care, it can still be difficult. Or the people administering a test for that, like a chemical test or something, they're not well versed in it and don't know very well. So you've created a solution, and potentially it sounds like an overall movement even, to just prevent those complicated and difficult situations in the first place and just protect people, which is amazing.
And how old are you, by the way?
22.
So she's 22. I feel like, what have I done with my life?
Yeah, you're barely old enough to really, as you said, be worrying about this issue. But I mean, thank God you are.
So I honestly am like very turned off by like the culture, just because I feel like I know like all the icky things that happen, and I don't love it. But I had my fun. Like, I feel like I already had my fun, and it's, you know, I'm really like passionate about like the whole, you know, like movement and change and fixing that. So, because I do want people to be able to go out and like not have to worry about this kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and establishments should be supportive of this actually, because you don't want a situation where your patrons are fearful. You don't want a situation where the people that are coming to do business at your establishment are concerned for their safety. They should be able to come and enjoy themselves and not be, not have this sense that like they need to stay away. So really, everybody should be on board with this. I mean, and apparently they are with 1 million units sold. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, to be honest. Like,
Really?
no, yeah, I feel like I get way more like pushback with bars specifically. Like
Whoa.
universities are all about safety and they want to keep, their students safe. And the bars are interesting because my local bar that I have a personal relationship with is like, we don't want people thinking there's a problem here. And I think that they have flipped the narrative, even though I try to flip it back and be like, well, if women feel safe, then women will come to your bar. Who do you want at your bar? Women. Like, let's be real. So I don't know. It's really all perspective, but I know deep down that like any person would appreciate it being there.
Yeah. Wow.
So real quick, the first product that I remember seeing with the episode of the Shark Tank was the scrunchie. Awesome idea, putting them in a scrunchie. Like I said, I have 5 sisters, so I know they've always got one with them, or, it's just something portable and easy to take with you. Walk me through the process a little bit of actually sourcing all that stuff and having manufacturing. You don't have to go into the details if you don't want to, but I'm just curious, like that's something that most people will never do. And you did it around the age of 16, 17. So yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the most interesting story, but like when I was, doing the whole seamstress thing and it was a lot of fun. Like she would make the product out of like textbook covers and, gymnastics leotard, all these different kinds of fabrics just to get the functionality to where we wanted it to be. And once we had it, my brother was really the guy who like deals with the manufacturing and stuff. Because to be honest, at 16, 17, I struggled with like, who's going to take me seriously? I'm not calling a manufacturer. So he was picking up the phones, calling the manufacturers. And I'm pretty sure my mom had a friend who knew a friend type of thing. And we ended up like connecting with someone. We actually started manufacturing them in Texas. Oh, cool. And then eventually moved over to overseas because it just got really expensive. But yeah, I mean, we used some form of connection to find somebody overseas and then kind of just established a relationship with them, sent them the prototype to see if they could make it. And then, I mean, still to this day, I think I literally want to like upgrade the products, and I'm going to work on that this week. But there are certain things on the scrunchie that I want to be better, and it's not perfect, and I want, I think everything's just a work in progress. But yeah, we have the scrunchie, and then from there we're like, this is only for women and women who want to wear their hair or like you have a scrunchie. What about, a unisex product? And my brother came up with the nightcap keychain. So it's like the drink cover goes into a little keychain. It goes on your keys. From there, we did like beer bottle tops that go on your keys. And then we're like, okay, what do we do for cans? And we got these. So
what's the beer bottle top? Like, what is it actually like?
It's literally just like a bottle top. It's like a silicone bottle top. And then they come in, there's 3 of them and they go in like a little pouch. And then we came out with these like can coolers. So they go over your like seltzers and stuff and they zip up. And, from there we did like straw top. We would read our comment section and people would be like, this is what you need. This is what you need. And we're like, okay, let's keep going. So, people were like, I drink beer and I want something. So that's kind of when we started to be like, okay, how do we do this and this? And then I saw somebody at the bar using like those little mini hands that people get at like raves and stuff. They're like the size of your pinky and they're little hands that people just bring out with them for no reason. They have no purpose. And I like put it on a beer bottle for content because I was like, this will go viral or something. And I was like, you know what? I think we could mold this into our beer bottle top. So now we have this like we have a little hand that goes on top. A little hand that goes on your bottle.
That's
it's
awesome.
kind of just a conversation starter. Like we've really tried to just make products that aren't uncomfortable to use and they can like be funny, because it is awkward to be like, oh, I'm covering my drink. But like, we have made our products a fun solution to a serious problem, is what we say.
I wonder if there's like a way to turn the establishments and the bars into like you're a supplier for them, and like maybe they can also sell this product. It's not just consumers buying from you and thinking way ahead of time so that they can bring it out in the event that they feel that they need it. I mean,
or are you already doing that?
Man, maybe you're doing that. So I was kind of curious if you've thought about it and if you've come in, you know, run into any objection, because it could be like stuff like that with the hand. It's like a fun thing that you could like provide the bar, or the restaurant, and you know, it's something where they could actually earn revenue and help promote your product too.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're kind of headed in California, because now it's mandated.
Yeah.
So, you know, now that they have to care about it, that's probably going to be the route we take. But like, bars are not our biggest customer. Like, it's usually schools, military bases, and nonprofits.
Do they stop bullets too? I'm just curious.
What'd you say?
He asked if it stopped bullets.
Like, is the Department of Defense buying these for like stopping bullets and missiles, or?
I wish.
Yeah.
No, but I didn't even think about that. That's what's interesting about this is like, I wouldn't think that the military would want to buy a bunch of them, but that kind of makes sense now. That
Well, is the military buying it, or are you just saying like regionally, like, or geographically, military bases tend to be places you sell into?
The military base is like, so we go to these conferences called the Crimes Against Women Conference, and people who work in the military like will come around and be like, they'll tell us, you know, this is a huge problem in the military. And so, yeah, we have different like bases and people in that organization that continue to buy, and like bulk products. Like some of these orders, I'm like, whoa, like I've never seen anything like it. But also like some nonprofits in different like tribal organizations are pretty big customers as well.
Like Native American tribes? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
It's interesting learning these things. I mean, you went into this probably not knowing that any of this would be customers, but like it's kind of cool.
No idea. Like, honestly, I just, you are shocked every day by something new. And that's the fun part with being an entrepreneur, though. It's like, you could take the business anywhere, any route, really. But yeah, I mean, every day I'm like, oh, now we could do this and this and this. And just like, okay, I can't do 100 things. So,
well, especially it's just you and your brother.
Yeah, exactly. It's
that's
terrible.
Like, that's you and me all the time. We have far more ideas than we have time or even energy for.
And I'm always churning out ideas. Like, I love new things, and oh my God, it's just not a good recipe.
I love it though. I mean, so Dave's kind of like, Jake, that's a great idea. Like, let's let one thing at a time. So
save it for when we have 100 million in the bank, and then we will.
That's too long.
We'll work on it.
Then you won't need to work on it.
Yeah. So what are you talking about?
No, that's just when you can get started, and when you get started investing.
I've worked with my family before. I love my family, and so that's pretty cool that you're working with your brother. It's cool that he saw that in you. He's like, oh, I'm going to help her. This is brilliant. I watched the episode of you guys on Shark Tank, and how he just said, did he fully drop out of school to dive into this, or did he just?
No, I dropped out of school.
You dropped. That's right. Oh my goodness. So
we say that we have 2 degrees between the two of us.
Okay.
Because he has both.
Brilliant.
I see.
That's cool. Okay, cool. I'd like to actually talk a little bit about the like going on Shark Tank. Obviously, people can watch the episode, but what's that like submitting process? How did you know to go on there? I think a lot of entrepreneurs want to go on the show, but like, how did you make it through that process? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I feel like with Shark Tank, people are waiting for like the magic wand. Like, they want to know like the secret. And I'm like, to be honest, there is no secret. Like, you just have to believe in your product and be passionate about it, because they can feel that. So we applied online, and our year there were 40,000 applicants, and they ended up calling back 1,000, and then they narrow it down again to about 150. And then I want to say maybe 100-ish go on the show, and actually, like, you could pitch and not actually air, which would really stink. But yeah, I mean, it's really just you're crossing your fingers the whole time. Like you have no idea.
So you pitched
Until
a
you're
video, or it wasn't like an email? Was it a video?
It's just an application. So it's like, what's your it's a thick application, but it's what's your product and all these fun questions of just paperwork. But we wanted it really badly. Like I used to watch the show when I was a kid, and I would watch it with my brother, and like I would watch it and be like, I want to do that. Like I could do that. It was like a delusional thought, but it actually manifested to be real.
I love it.
You guys,
You almost have to have that delusion, like, because otherwise no one else is going to believe in you. You have to just like, of course it's going to happen.
yeah. Well, and you guys were really polished too. I wanted to ask,
yeah.
like, does the show, because it seems like there's a similar delivery across all pitches in a lot of ways. There's kind of like I think the show obviously has a vested interest in making sure someone doesn't go off for like 20 minutes, or that somebody comes out and says 15 seconds worth of pitch, because like that doesn't make for good TV. So like, do they kind of like give you a structure?
Are there coaches or?
No, so you only know those like first 90 seconds of your pitch. That's all you know that's going to happen is like, you scripted that out, you know that.
And you guys had watched the show enough to kind of know like what a good script is.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So we studied like crazy, and we also were the COVID season. So we flew, and I was a minor. So our dad got to come with us. And so the three of us went out to Las Vegas. They normally film in LA, but we filmed in Las Vegas, and they made this bubble. It's like, if you got there and they put you in a hotel room for 10 days and you could not leave. So we got a lot of time to practice our pitch. And we had we had prepared like, okay, what do you think we're going to be asked? And there's no like certain formula. I think everyone obviously just like watches the show before they go on, and then it is TV. So like people are in there for 2 hours and they edit it down to like, I don't know, 10 minutes.
Like pitching for 2 hours? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, people can be they can be negotiating in there for like 2 hours.
Now, yours seemed really quick. Was it actually that quick, or were you there for hours?
We were in there for 33 minutes.
Wow, that's fast.
One of the faster deals. Yeah, we were in there and it all happened super fast, and it felt like it was so quick. And you also go in there and you black out. So you're like, I don't know what just happened. And
yeah, because I was wondering, as you were standing there and they opened the doors, you got to walk down that hallway. I was like, that's where I would pass out. Like just right there, or completely forget what I'm supposed to say. But you guys walked in with confidence and knocked it out of the park. Tell me about that. What was that like?
Illusion. I'm telling you, I was 17. I was like, like, it's fine.
Were you confident going in?
Yeah, I mean, because we practiced so much, and I was 17 going on Shark Tank. I was like, this is sick. Like,
I love it.
I'm gonna crush this. I feel like my brother was way more afraid than I was, but they also like edited out a lot of his parts, so it made it look like I was talking the entire time, which I might have been, honestly. But yeah, I mean, you prepare for that, like and also when you walk out, there's no like music playing.
Oh,
so it's silent. It's dead silent, and you're just like,
Just hear your heartbeat going.
that's so awkward. Were they just sitting there and or was it filmed separately?
No. They're sitting there.
So it's just quiet.
Yep.
Okay, that's wonderful.
It's Mr. Wonderful because he's sitting right there, and you're like, what's up?
So did you go in there with an idea of like who you wanted, or like did you want Lori right off the bat?
Yes, I wrote down in my journal the day before, I will get a deal of Lori Greiner on Shark Tank.
Awesome. Yeah, because she like resonated with it like quick. She was like this, or at least it appeared that way on the episode.
Yeah, it's wild.
When did you notice she was starting to actually take interest in the product? Like how far into the pitch?
Pretty quickly. Like within a few minutes, she was like, I love this. And I felt like I was dreaming because it was the most perfect and ideal situation for her to be like, I love this. She literally, I can recite it because it's so amazing. She goes, I've never seen a product come to the Shark Tank that resonated with me more deeply in a social mission way as this.
That's so cool.
That's quite the recommendation.
Especially having her. She's so powerful in that space for selling like products. Like so cool. So
Yeah,
was Mr. Wonderful wonderful? Or was he?
I thought so. I thought he was hilarious and I love his humor. So yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
What's it been like since the show then? So I mean, do you interface with Lori very much? Like how do you feel that her, investing in your company has like, do you feel was it everything that you hoped it would be, I guess, is what I'm trying to understand?
Yeah, I don't know what my expectations really were, but she's definitely a mentor, and it's so surreal to hop on a phone call with her and be like, hey, what's your take on this?
Oh, that's cool. So she does take your calls.
Yeah, she takes my calls. She responds to my texts. And,
wow, that's wild.
The thing is, I feel like as a founder, you're still doing them everything. They have so much going on. They're not taking your business and, flipping it. And, it's not like that, but we are still in the thick of it and doing so much work to succeed. And it's nice to be able to lean on her for that support.
Yeah, because someone like her, she's got so much experience that a text could change the outcome of maybe wasting 6 months on something, or going in the wrong direction. So that wisdom is I think vital. One thing too, I think a lot of people who casually watch the show assume that you walk outside and they write you a check and it's on your way. Tell us a little bit about the vetting process afterwards. I'm assuming there's some kind of vetting process afterwards.
There is vetting. Yeah, they double check everything, and then a few months go by, and I mean we closed our deal, so I know how that works. It took maybe 3 months, 4 months after, which is quick, but a lot of times they have a deal, but they don't actually close the deal on the show. So a lot of times it's maybe someone was lying about something, or maybe they just didn't really want it. One of the parties didn't actually end up going through, but when you close the deal, it varies. I don't know, it varies, but for us, it was a couple months, and then we did our deal before the show actually aired.
Oh, okay.
So we closed 3 months after, and then 6 months after the filming, we aired on TV.
Were you just waiting? And did you guys prep for those orders that were going to come in from it? Or
oh my gosh! Well, to put in perspective, we went on the show with $68,000, and then the night of Shark Tank, we did $200,000. So we tripled
the night of Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Wow,
that's amazing. That alone is worth going to the show.
That's crazy. Wild. Yeah. Did your website crash at all, or were you guys prepared for that?
They prepare you. So the producers will tell you, you're going to have a lot of people on your site. You should probably, do this and order maybe this much. You prep for that.
Good. Good. Man, that is so cool. I think that's a dream for a lot of people. And it's really cool that you were so confident that of course, she's going to sign a deal with us. And that's really cool. I think more people need to be like that. Just go on with more confidence and just knock it out of the park. Very cool.
I've been trying to get that back because sometimes I lose it, but I'm when was I the most solutional? When I was a kid. Yeah. Why? Because you don't care what people think. Everything's attainable when you're young. You don't really think about, this could get in the way.
And you have all the time to start over too,
Yeah, that's true too. But I don't know. I think I've always thought of the world just being you're an oyster. You can just kind of do whatever I think that's because my mom was always well, you could be this and you could also be this. And she gave me all these, she just kind of made it feel like I could do whatever I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And so I always had that mindset of if I have this hobby or passion, I'm just do it. And I think a lot of people have things that they love to do, but they actually don't do them, which is kind of crazy to me.
I know. And I wish people would be a little bit more delusional and not listen to what people say. Earlier on in my career, I was that person who was completely delusional. People would say, oh, you got to do it this way. And I'd be like, nah. So early on when I started my video production company, a lot of people told me how to get big jobs. And I just cold called Warner Brothers one day and just went through every like chain of like voicemails.
I was one of those people who was like, you're not supposed to do that, Jake. Like,
by the end of a long day of being on phone calls, I got my first job with Warner Brothers, and it was with a decent sized country star. And I did their was it lyric video or music video? I can't remember. Either way,
probably both.
The point is like, boom. Then I had a direct phone line into the people at Warner Music. So it was like, I was delusional enough.
Now that took some sacrifice. Like
what do
you
you mean?
went in, well, like you took on an enormous amount of work at a very discounted rate, essentially, in order to get the work. But like, that's a lesson in and of itself. I mean, to be willing to go that extra mile just to like make those inroads so that later on you were able to get bigger, better, and like full price jobs.
Yep. Yeah. Basically the first music video I did for them, it cost me more to make it than they paid me. But sometimes you have to do it. Once again, delusional. So I can resonate with that a lot. So I appreciate it. And I wish more people did that.
Yeah. On that like story, like the note, I have a fun story, but I think I was like 19, which is what, like 2 months ago. Just kidding.
For me, it was
19.
a long time ago. Go ahead.
I was 19. I went to this conference in Las Vegas probably 2 years ago. And I brought my roommate because my brother like sometimes doesn't come with me to things. So I brought my roommate at the time. And the CEO of Forever 21 was speaking on this all like woman empowerment panel. I'm like, oh, we're going to sit front row. Like this is such a cool theme. Like, let's listen. Anyway, she does such a good job. And she like everything she said like resonated with me really well. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, let's just go talk to her. And my roommate was like, she was like hyping me up. You know, she was supporting me like, let's go, like brought me up there. And we're waiting to talk to her. And I mean, I've been to a lot of these shows too. And like what they do is they'll have the speakers, and when they're done speaking, they'll tuck them behind the stage or they'll put them in a room because like they're so much better than you are. So they have to, you know, get them out here, like shove them in a closet because like you can't talk to them, whatever. Anyway, this conference did not do that. And I took note of that. So Winnie Park, her name is, CEO of Forever 21, walks off the stage. We go up to her and I hand her a nightcap and I'm like, you know, gave her my spiel, you know, this is a nightcap. It'll protect you from drink spiking. And she's like, I love this. Let's get this in the stores.
Whoa.
And so like 6 months later, we were in Forever 21 and it was because of like one conversation and just being like, let's do this, you know, like, so stuff like that is real and it happens. And you have to do it 100 times because I still like walk up to people to this day and they're like, who are you? Like, I don't want your, you know, but you have to do it 100 times to get like one big, awesome yes. And that story, like the story to me is more valuable than getting in the store. Cause I love that, you know, it's just a conversation that opens so many other doors. And then you kind of think about it and you're like, well, I could do that again. And like, you know, you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something to be said too for having a product that you can like take everywhere with you.
Yeah. That's great.
So that
and also it's easy. Like people get it quick. They're like, oh yes, this is brilliant. So that's awesome.
Sometimes
Are people rude too?
Yeah. Like I get a lot of I get rejected all the time. People are like, I don't want this. It's like, I mean, it's probably 50-50, like honestly.
That's sales though.
But
I mean, actually that's pretty good for sales.
Like they say, if you know it's 100 no's before your next yes, start getting through the no's.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that every time I get rejected for something, just that's one off the list. When you know, get through the 100. And but you just kind of got to get used to being told no, laughed at, and then people look at you later on when you're successful and you've sold 1 million, you know, units. People are like, "Oh, that was just easy," and people don't see the hard no's and rejections again and again.
Yeah, yeah, and I honestly, I think I'm going to start talking more about that because I actually had someone yesterday say something to me that's like a friend of mine, and they were like, "Shira, how do you?" They're like, "Has nothing like bad ever?" He's like, "How do you show up so positively?" Like, he's like, you have a lot to learn and like you have a lot of failure to like go through. And I was like, can you just explain what you mean by that? Because how do you just say that to someone?
Like assuming you're naive? Is that?
And well, no. So I dug a little deeper and I was asking him, why are you saying that? Like, can you just tell me what you mean? And his response was like, you just are always like, you know, positive. And I told him like, I work so hard to show up in this way because if I'm in a negative mindset or I'm down, I don't come around you. Like I don't hang out with my friends if I'm thinking negatively because you don't want to be around me. Like I will, if I'm self-destructing, I'll destruct everyone else around me. So I do, you know, I have my habits and my routine and everything for my mental health to show up as that person that maybe I guess seems like everything's great, but I definitely have failed a lot. And like, that's, you know, that was crazy for me to hear, but I definitely think that I should talk about it more, my failures. I guess I don't do that enough.
Well, not a lot of people like to glorify it, but the reality is that's the lessons we've learned the most. I've failed a lot in life. He's been around for some of my failures. But then if you take that moment and be like, all right, what did I learn? And then those are the moments you actually can walk away with a positive vibe off of the loss or the rejection.
Well, and we actually did a whole podcast. We had a whole conversation about this where you're the one that brought it to my attention, where if you are the type of person who is constantly pushing, you are reaching for that next thing, as we always talk about, chasing mountains. You're trying to get to that next peak and pushing yourself, pushing those around you. What happens is you're always doing new things. All those things are hard, and you are going to fail and feel like you're failing way more often than the normal person.
Because you're doing more.
Because everything is new. You're doing more. You're taking on things that are constantly just beyond what you're qualified for or what you know how to do. And so that's how you get to growth, and that's how you stumble upon success. But you fail a lot in that process. And I think people are too, not to like have the podcast again, but if you're afraid of failure, you're going to always stop short of like that next mountain, that next leap, that next success. So, you know, at 22, you have a lot more failures ahead of you, I feel like, but you are obviously winning big already. And that's key. Like stacking up this foundation of success is really, really awesome. I did want to say too, like with someone, I have a background kind of coming from like heavy construction and manufacturing. And I've done a lot of marketing in that space, but I think it's really cool. You kind of downplay earlier. You had mentioned with manufacturing, like, it's kind of, you know, it's not that exciting, whatever. I think like in a world where every young person that feels entrepreneurial feels like they have to have some sort of tech product, or they need to do, you know, drop shipping or some sort of like whatever. Like here you guys are actually manufacturing a product and designing it from nothing. And I think building that foundation and learning, you know, even like whether it's how to source a supplier to, you know, how to, you know, actually design it, prototype, all those things, like that's huge. And I feel a lot of people like narrow their mindset, especially right now, into like, well, I have to have some kind of digital product. I have to create a, you know, some software or some website or whatever, an app. And for a long time in this country, you know, people have made great wealth through manufacturing. I don't think that's ever going to go away.
Agreed.
So I'm excited for you. I'm excited that you're doing that.
Yeah, I think I was just really saying that it's not a fun story because I personally wasn't super involved in the process when we started the manufacturing. So it wasn't something that I can share a lot about. But now that as I kind of grow and like learn more about business, I realized, you know, okay, maybe this is something that I will want to be more involved in. And it definitely like will be, because I think there is a lot of like updates and renovations that I want to be a part of. And as you guys were kind of saying earlier, like you said, Jake's like the visionary, and Dave, you're like, you know, you kind of just like You
I'm the
bring you
boring
ground
one.
He's the
tip.
smart one.
I'm the police.
He's the smart one.
No.
Yes, my brother's the police, and I am like the teenager that's trying to like run from the cops because I like have all these crazy ideas, but he makes me feel crazier about them. So sometimes I have the idea and it kind of just stops there because he's like, no, let's be logical. Let's, we can't do that. So recently I've been pushing and pushing and pushing him. And that's when the ideas start really rolling. And I'm like, let's go. This wasn't a bad idea. So yeah, that's more on the manufacturing side. We'll see. We might have like an updated product soon and I'm excited for it.
That's cool. So what is cool though is like, enough to know that social media is so important to sell a product. And like you have those ideas of like, let's make something that go viral versus being so professional. Like some brands are so concerned about every light, every angle. I've been doing videos for people for years. I'm like, guys, this is like, we're spending way too much money. You could do this and it'd be more viral. So tell me a little bit about that side of like, you're pushing it and your social media.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm Gen Z, so like I was born into it. I had Snapchat and Instagram in 5th grade, and I like grew up making video stars and stuff. So like always been making silly, fun videos with my friends, and like I loved editing for some odd reason. And it came to my benefit because it like, obviously I started posting the product on TikTok and people were like, what is that? That's, that's one of those ideas where it's why didn't I think of that idea? And so every time in the beginning we would post like a video using the product, there was a big chance of it going like really viral. And so I think, one of the videos even helped us get on Shark Tank because we made $40,000 off of it, like in sales. So we were able to go into the
That's a
tank
good video,
and be like,
by the way. If it made 40 grand off of it, good job.
Yeah. And it was like, it was free. We went to the bar and put it on a drink and put it to like some Olivia Rodrigo song and boom, like,
What's the metrics of that video? I'm just curious. Do you remember like how many views you got on it? Like how many views equated to that amount of sales?
It has 50 million views on Nightcap's page, 25 million on my page, and then we would take it and like repurpose it on other platforms. So
okay. Yeah. So high performing content for
TikTok,
sure.
And then
or is it Instagram, or is it both?
It was on TikTok, and then we took it and put it on Instagram, and then we made like probably like $500,000 off that one video. To be honest,
awesome.
That's amazing. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
That's good content.
That's great content.
The thing is, content is always changing. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I agree. The unpolished stuff works. Even like having a typo can sometimes work because everyone wants to be right in the comment section, and then they're boosting the algorithm. So the scrappy stuff has always been really great for us. But as I said, like it's always changing. So putting the same product on a drink for the 5 years, it's not going to work over and over again. So eventually we pivoted. When I dropped out of school, I ended up becoming like the face of the brands. And I would talk about, the beginning of Nightcap, how we made the prototypes, taking you guys behind the scenes. What is drink spiking? Like responding to everyone's comments about Shark Tank, all the things. And people started to feel like they were my friend and like they were purchasing the product. They knew me as the founder, and it built like this connection with people. And then, that is still a thing. Like I'm still kind of the face. But these videos of the spiking my friend's drinks with Swedish fish is like the educational aspect that we did not know that we needed. But those videos have been going crazy viral. And I don't think that people will ever really get sick of those because I feel like it's a shock to everyone's system when it's like, in a dark club, when I put a little Swedish fish in someone's beer bottle, they're like, how did she do that? Or like, whoa, that was so fast. Like, that could have been me.
So those videos, then you're like, as we've talked about this a few times, I'm pretty convinced now based on the way you talk about it, they are real. Like you're actually spiking the drinks then and just about the
70% of the time they're real. Yeah.
Okay. Cause like that's wild. That's wild because I watched a whole bunch of those videos and people don't realize it.
No, they don't. And
That's very clever though
it's-
that you did that. That's funny.
What's
It's not funny that it happens, but like that you knew enough to go, hey, this is a great marketing, like just to play tricks on your friends, but like also expose how easy it is.
and how badly people need
Yeah.
this product? I mean,
It wasn't even my idea. It was actually, it was a photographer that I was working with. Like he was taking founder pictures of my brother and I. He's also like a friend, and we were just talking after the shoot, and he was like, what if you like went around putting candy in drinks? And I was like, it actually took me like probably a few months to like act on it. I think my content was just kind of not hitting, and I was like, let's try this. So every time I see him, I'm like, you saved my business.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that is weird. As a founder, you do have to adapt a lot, and you got to see it. I mean, and it moves so much these days as far as content. Like about the time you get used to a new, algorithm or a type of content, boom, it changes. So,
yeah, seriously. And I mean, I even think, TikTok almost got taken from us.
Yeah.
So everyone that operates on there had to at least think about what they were going to do. And it's scary. Like the stuff that keeps you, in business can literally be taken away in 5 seconds.
yeah, that's why it's kind of important to diversify a little bit. It's tough to manage so many different, platforms, but my goodness, I told my wife that I was like, hey, heaven forbid something happened to your channel and you lose it and you have no contact with anybody, no emails, no other platform. I was like, you're kind of screwed. And I'm glad you're smart enough to do that, because a lot of people aren't.
yeah,
Cool product. This is really
Right.
cool. And
important product.
I hope you're proud of yourself, you and your brother. I think it's really it's cool,
Thanks. I mean, I never expected this to happen, but yeah, I mean, I definitely am proud of myself. Like what I'm most proud of, I think, is like the legislation aspect of things.
Like in California, you were talking about?
California, and I feel like it'll roll over to other states. And I also attribute that a lot to like the education and the branding that we've done. Like 5 years ago, people weren't talking about their drink spiking stories. They really weren't. And now it's almost like we've allowed people to heal and like feel like they're not alone in like those situations. So I think we've really brought up the conversation, which has reached those politicians, legislatures, and people in power that are actually doing something about it. So yeah, that's really what I'm proud of, is just like starting the conversation.
Yeah. Do you think there's is that a direction that you guys will continue to pursue? Is like some of the legislation, some of the, like Lori on Shark Tank, she's you already said it for us, the quote, but it was something like a really important social product or social impact.
Yeah.
These types of things, like you guys again are in this space that is more than just, we're going to sell you a product that is convenient or makes your life easier. I think it does those things, but it also may literally save lives. And I mean, so there's more to this. There's like a mission behind it. So do you feel like you'll maybe head in that direction to, whether it's nonprofit as well on top of this, or like what's next?
Yeah. So actually, very recently, I had somebody reach out to me. She's a woman, maybe in her mid 40s, and we got on a call, and she's like, Shira, I was at a work event at a happy hour. My coworker drugged me, and he turned around and said that I assaulted him. So I got fired, and I was a very high up in my company, and I lost my entire career. And I was like, you know what? Something needs to change. So I put her and all the safety companies that we've like ever had partnerships with. And I was like, basically like, hey, everyone, there are gaps in our system that need to be addressed. I'm hopping on this call, or I'm starting this call this date. If you want to hop on, please feel free to join us. And I called it like Building a Safer Future. And I had all these people hop on the call, introduce themselves, and it opened up like this conversation for people, and like the people who have been attacked on runs and like started companies to protect people that, want to go solo running, but feels unsafe. And my friends who have jewelry that you click it twice, it calls the police. It's not just about drink spiking. It's about everything. So I'm going to have our second call in March, and I'm really excited for it. And I have like the Me Too movement, wants to be on the call, and like the legislatures in Boston that we're trying to pass a bill right now that will help people. If you want to get a test at the hospital, you should be able to get a test at the hospital. So we're trying to pass a bill that will fix that right now. And they're going to hop on the call. So there's a lot of people that can actually create change. And that conversation with the one lady, just triggered something in me. I was like, okay, we need to do something about this. So that's like another project that I am working on. It has nothing to do with selling product. It's just like, we're all dealing with these issues in our own spaces. Why don't we come together, address these situations, and like see what we can do together? I think that's going to be pretty big, because even like the founder of the Me Too movement, I was on a call with her like last week, and she loved it. So
that's cool.
It's I think we can all agree, everybody can agree that, we need to do everything we can to build a safer society. There's no reason that people should fear for their lives when they go out on a run. There's no reason that when you go to have fun at a bar that, you have to be afraid, that you'll, that the worst could happen by the end of the night instead of just a great time. And so, it's really important that you're in this space. It's really awesome that you're providing solutions to people that not only benefits you and, in a capitalist financial way, which is awesome, but as fathers, as husbands, like, it's good to know that people are creating products to keep people safer, and to keep, them in control of their own experience.
Yep. Very cool.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
It's really awesome. So where can people find you? So we've talked a lot about Nightcap. Where can people, you have been, I need to say for our listeners, you guys have, big deal. You've been so generous, Shira. If you go to Shira's website, you go to nightcapit.com, right? Sorry, I'm stealing your thunder here. If you go to nightcapit.com.
nightcapit.com, code Chasing Mountains for 20% off.
20%. That's huge.
I'll buy a bunch. I have 5 sisters.
Yay.
Yep.
Yes, 20% off.
So where else? Where can people go to see your content and all that?
Nightcap It is all of our socials. We're on everything: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. Now we're like trying to start a Twitter account. X. Sorry.
Yes. I still call it Twitter. Yes.
Yeah, it's Twitter.
Yeah.
And all of our socials, Nightcap It. And our website's nightcapit.com. Amazon, we're there. We have like over 6,000 reviews, so you'll find us there.
That's awesome.
And I also have a podcast called In Your Dreams. I don't talk about it, but if you want to listen to some episodes, I have a bunch of cool episodes, like with the seamstress that helped me start my business, and my dad that came up with the name, my brother, different fun ones about like entrepreneurs and just fun stuff. So In Your Dreams podcast, and on all platforms.
So we'll check that out.
That's awesome.
By the way, your dad, that's a great name. Did he come up with it that quick?
Yeah, he's the journalist, if that helps, like put in perspective.
That helps.
Branding, marketing.
Yes.
He's got it locked down. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, we'll put all those links. We'll put all of it in the description of the video, so anybody watching and listening, you can easily find everything that Shira described there. But
what would you say to people who want to be an entrepreneur, like someone who is your age? What encouragement would you tell them?
I would say get comfortable with the uncomfortable, because there are so many times, so many situations that aren't going to be like normal or like easy. So literally exposure therapy, like do things that are out of the ordinary and just figure out how to like be comfortable with that.
Well, you joked like as soon as you got on the call tonight too, that like having been on Shark Tank, like you can go on any podcast and it's pretty easy. there's no nerve. So yeah, I mean, I think in terms of exposure therapy, the more that you can early on just do the hard stuff. Everything else seems a little easier in comparison.
Yeah, like you're never going to be ready for anything. Like that usually helps me do things more. Like, you know, like, oh, I'll write a book in 10 years. Well, you should probably just start writing it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also, I think what you're a good example for, you don't have to wait till you're 25 or 30 to start a business. You don't. Like, and I know it's tough that people don't pay attention to young people. Oh, look at that little guy.
We have a special guest, like an additional featured guest. Who's this?
Special guest.
Who is this?
This is Rosie.
Rosie. Oh,
She's like licking my legs, so I had to go.
well, I think it's cool, and I think that you know, I think people should try and start earlier when you believe that you can accomplish anything. Because like when you get older, people constantly tell you can't. So start young.
Yes.
Start young.
Yes. And people still tell me I can't, like all the time, and I still. Yeah, like. Yeah, I think people around me that have limiting beliefs is really hard to like when you're someone that has like very big dreams, it's very hard to be like told no. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people aren't trying to convince you not to do something. They're trying to convince themselves why they've not tried their dreams. And I know people say that, you know, but that's so true. They're just trying to convince themselves why it's okay that they didn't do it.
Yeah, that's also true.
Well, you talk about you and your brother's relationship. Like, as we said, it's similar to ours, where he's the one who's always dreaming big, and I'm the one who's like, hey, let's bring it back down to earth. And I, as much as I like hate to admit it, I'm going to do this in real time here, but he often is able to accomplish the ridiculous things that he says we can accomplish.
Thank you.
And
because I don't know any different. I told him I'm just dumb enough to get it through.
And it's taught me over time that like I've had these sort of limiting beliefs, and don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm like, nope, that is like that's
I
a
still
bad
have
idea.
bad ideas often. So.
But you know, I mean that's just how it works. Like when you have a lot of big grand ideas, a lot of them are going to be just big and grand and crazy ideas, but some are like these nuggets of gold. And I think it's important to have in your life, if you're a dreamer, you got to have someone who's also going to bring you down to earth, but you got to have that flexibility. Right. You got to have someone who, you know, is willing to, if they're a dreamer, kind of shrink it, but someone who also, if they're constantly saying no, sometimes you got to say yes, because sometimes you're going to win. You're going to find that idea.
You push with your brother. You get it. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, now that you said that, like, thank you for saying that, because I know that deep down he's like, wow, that's a good idea. But I'm
yeah. Well, I mean, also like there is also the reverse side of this. I'm so focused sometimes on the big picture, I forget to pay bills. So there is that too. So like, but no, I think sometimes it does take two, because you go ahead. You got something?
Well, I forgot to pay my rent. Thanks for reminding me.
See, I'm telling you.
See, she's focused on the big picture.
Yeah. I mean,
you're not alone.
I think it takes two types of people sometimes to be successful. Like you do also like, okay, we got to put a structure together, but then we need a dreamer. And then, so I think it's cool. I'm glad you have this partner with your brother, and very cool.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. This was supposed to be fun. And I'm literally taking it out. Pay rent because it's the third.
Awesome.
For everybody watching and listening, go to nightcap.com, buy some products so Shira can pay rent. We need to get this handle.
Yes. Yes. Well, this is really cool. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I know so many people that wish they could be on Shark Tank, and talking to someone who actually went through it and seen it help their business. It's very cool.
Yeah. Best of luck to you guys.
So, yeah. So thank you. I appreciate it. I guess that's a wrap.